everyone, I'm Tzarey A Kilapkilap and I'm going to tackle about the Neo Behaviorism by Edward J. Tolman. Edward Chase Tolman was born on April 14, 1886 and died on November 19, 1959, was an American psychologist and a professor of psychology at the University of California, Berkeley. Tolman's theories and works, he founded what is now a branch of psychology known as purposive behaviorism. Tolman also promoted the concept known as latent learning, first coined by Blodgett, 1929. Early life of Edward Chase Tolman. Tolman originally started his academic life studying physics, mathematics, and chemistry at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology or MIT. After reading William James' Principle of Psychology, he decided to shift his focus to the study of psychology. He enrolled at Harvard where he worked in Hugo Masterberg's lab. Tolman's awards and distinctions. In 1937, Tolman was named president of the American Psychological Association. In 1940, he became president of the Society for the Psychological Study of Social Issues. In 1949, he was named a Fellow of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences. In 1957, he received the EPA Award for Distinguished Scientific Contributions. Now that we already know who is Edward Chase Tolman, let's proceed to Tolman's K concept. But before that, we're going to know what is Neo Behaviorism and of course the purposive behaviorism all about. Neo-behaviorism is a behavior that cannot be fully understood simply in terms of observable stimuli and reaction. Neo-behaviorism introduced as mediating variables into the behaviorist stimulus-response scheme. So, neo-behaviorism means bases on the idea that people learn their behaviors by watching or imitating them, and it focuses more on cognitive process and behavioral conditioning. In this example, we have maze A rat and maze B rat. So they are not the same because they are reverse maze. So the experience of the maze A rat helped to answer the maze B rat a lot easier. Why? Because the rat B create a mental maps that the things that rat perceive. Mental maps help the rats to respond to another task, especially if they have similarities of the object. So this may be response with trial and error, but later on, their response becomes more internally driven or cognitive perspective. This is neo-behaviorism all about. It has aspect of behaviorism and also reaches out to the cognitive perspective. Positive behaviorism combines the objective study of behavior while also considering the purpose or goal of behavior. Tolman thought that learning developed from knowledge about the environment and how the organism relate to its environment. Just like the example about the maze rat, the rat following the pathway so that the rat will be able to get the food. And by following the pathways, the rat will be developed knowledge on how to get the food. Under Tolman's purposive behaviorism has goal-directedness, cognitive maps, latent learning, and intervening variables. While Bandura's social learning theory also has principles, modeling, for conditions for effective modeling. Tolman's purposive behaviorism aka sign learning theory, is often seen the link between behaviorism and cognitive theory. Tolman believed that learning is a cognitive process. Learning involves forming belief and obtaining knowledge about the environment and then revealing that knowledge through our possible and goal-directed behavior. The stimuli which are allowed in are not connected by just simple one-to-one switches to the outgoing responses, meaning that we ought to learn by pursuing the signs to a goal. Rather, the incoming impulses are usually worked over and elaborated in the central control room into a tentative cognitive-like map of the environment. It is tentative map because it indicates routes and paths and the environmental relationships which they finally determines what responses, if any, animals will finally make it, just like my examples about the rat and the maid. Now let's move on to Tolman's K concept. Learning is always purposive and goal-directedness. Individual acts on belief, attitudes, changing condition, and they strive towards goal. Like for example, me as a student, learning is always purposive and goal-directed to me because if I don't learn anything, I won't be able to succeed or to achieve my goals in life. Application for learning is always purposive and goal-directed. States goal clearly and specifically clear object and direction for the better result in order for us to achieve our goals in life. The second one is cognitive maps is any visual representation of a person's or a group's mental model for a given process or concepts. So, it is associated with exploration which would lead then to a series of application to achieve the best course of action to achieve the goal, like the example, a girl going to school following the easiest pathway or the route. Application for cognitive maps. A learner remembers new words by visualizing them represented in a memorable fashion. This makes it easier and faster to recall these words. Just like my example about the maze and the rats make a shortcut so that they will be able to get the food easier and faster. So this is what we call cognitive map. Latent learning is the subconscious retention of information without reinforcement or motivation. That would mean that learning is outwardly manifested once it is needed or until some incentive is provided for displaying it. In this example, we can see a child handling a remote control. So maybe this child always see her parents on how to operate a TV remote control, and the child observe how the TV turn in or how the channel change and also the volume. So by simply observing by her parents doing, the child already know what is the purpose of this remote control. So through latent learning, the child knew the skills beforehand even though that the child never done it before. Application for latent learning. When reinforcement was finally presented, they quickly showed that they have been learning as evidenced by the abrupt increase in performance. Intervening variables, these are not readily seen but serve as determinants of behavior. Tolman believed that learning is mediated or is influenced by expectations, perception, presentations, need, and other internal or environmental variables. We had three groups of rats, the group A, B, and C. The group A was given food at the receipt, while the group B and C were not given food at the receipt. After 10 days, Group A showed more signs of learning the maze, fewer errors than the Group B and C. On the 11th day, he gave Group B food at the end of the maze. On 12th day, B went from acting like C, high error, to acting like A, low error. These results convinced Tolman that B rat had learned the maze but did not act like A rat until they had the same purpose. Reinforcement is not essential for learning. Tolman concluded that reinforcement is not essential for learning, although it provides an incentive for performance. Reinforcement are not essential for learning, as learning occurs without any obvious reinforcement of the behavior or association that are learned. Like for example, a rat was able to acquire knowledge of the way through a maze, developing a cognitive map, even the absence of reinforcement. And that was my topic all about, and the Bandura's social learning theory will be discussed my partner.